beautiful day. Aloha from Galera. It really is a gorgeous day. Whew. I find myself being very, very grateful in this moment. Um, uh, but even though I am surrounded by beauty, I still have a monkey mind. And the mind does what the mind likes to do. And so, yes, people ask me, like, life is so great. No wonder you're in such a good mood. Yes, absolutely. The roses are right there in my face. It's hard to not smell the roses when they're right there in your face. But I still have, anxious thoughts that pop up, negative limiting beliefs. I'm still a human being. I still have that survival mechanism that my biology runs on, which sometimes gets in the way of my peace of mind. And that's just how it is. And I think the difference is now I'm learning to be a little bit more patient with myself, giving myself a little bit more permission to be human, permission to be imperfect, because the imperfect is the opportunity for change. But without, yes, it's good to encourage you about that, but it is very, very real, the monkey mind. And people ask me, how I'm able to navigate around that, because when your circumstances are not as bright and beautiful as the day is currently in Puerto Galera, we need to be able to have what's called the inner citadel. Inner citadel is that the inner fortress, is the practice of resilience that we have when, not if, when the problematic or discouraging thoughts arise. Human nature will always have that chatterbox. And so when we experience those thoughts of limiting beliefs, maybe thoughts of discouragement or doubt, maybe it's fear or uncertainty, either in yourself or in another person or a circumstance, when that happens, one thing that really, really helps me is reverse engineering my joy. And so rather than waiting for my mood to dictate how I should feel, which my mood is often at the subject, if I don't apply my mindfulness, at the subject of my circumstances and other people. And so I don't want to leave my joy in the hands of someone else. And so when I say reverse engineer my joy, when I experience a negative limiting belief, for example, if I'm writing a song or a composition, and I often have this replaying, negative thought pattern of, well, is this even good enough? What if this is just foolishness? What if they listen to it and they don't like it? Do I even know what I'm doing? Do you really think that that this is going to, be a hit? Do you really think that this is going to be something that people want to hear and listen to and take the time to listen to? And so when those thoughts come into my head, it is useless to argue with a negative thought, because it's kind of like what they say about arguing with a fool, right? It's foolish. Only a fool will argue with a fool. You cannot argue with a negative thought and rationalize outside of it, because that negative thought has its own merit. It has its own judgment because of your own previous experience and your own previous little micro traumas. But rather than arguing with a thought, what I mean by reverse engineering my joy, if my thought is basically discouraging, like I am not good enough, or my music or what I'm working on is going to fail, that discouraging thought, rather than convince myself that actually, no, I'm not going to fail, I reverse engineer my joy by practicing the truth that I want to be congruent with. So the truth, what do I want to be congruent with? I want my work to be inspiring. I want my work to speak to people. I want my music to have a message. And so what does it take for me to be all those things and to experience that peace of mind where I'm not always second guessing myself? You know what it feels like when you second guess yourself? It's like your own annoying roommate. We're really the only ones getting in the way. It's that fear. That's what if I don't know what to do, or it's not going to be good enough. And so rather than paying any or placing more energy on that, action will always be what interrupts any unwanted habitual pattern. Action will always be what instigates new positive shifts that we want, is action. And the best thing is, action doesn't have to be this big giant leap, especially when we're scared and we have self-doubt. Action, oftentimes, most of the time, is best seen in small, little incremental steps that we choose to take consistently and faithfully in our practice. And so if my underlying limiting belief is that my work may not be good enough, or that I may not be cut out for this, I will instill and practice. So what's the opposite of that? Practice confidence. How do I practice confidence and motivation? In a small little step. Maybe I write and I practice just giving and sharing it to one person. It's that little act of bravery. Or if I have self-doubt, what's another opposite for that I want to instill in my life? Motivation and inspiration. Maybe I want to be inspired. And so I don't just wait to be inspired by my circumstances or those around me. Massive action. What can I do that will inspire me? Do I want to be inspired? Do I want to see a beautiful ocean? Do I want to listen to a magnificent piece of music or stare into the intricacies of a beautiful painting? Or do I want to practice inspiration by swimming and moving my body so that I can feel how fully alive actually feels in my bones and in my mind, that all of a sudden I become inspired? There's so many different ways. And I really believe that's what it means to intentionally live, that we're not subject to our feelings, but that we have a choice in anything. We have a choice to graciously let go of the things that's not meant for us, to let go of and have peace, be at peace letting go of the things that we can't control, but to courageously take action over the things that we can. And each of us has this amazing ability to build ourselves up, little by little, with practice. Practice building ourselves up. How do we build ourselves up? We build our character strengths. How do we build our character strengths? What's a character strength? The character strength of curiosity, of adventure, of joy, of teamwork, of leadership, of kindness, of generosity. How do you practice all those things? Doing an action that resembles it or that brings it out. We all have the ability to move and act, right? And so we actually do have a choice. It doesn't mean that when something bad happens that we don't have the right to feel it. By all means, feel it deeply and fully. Sometimes the heartache is also what it means to be fully alive. But when we feel it, know that we are never a victim to anything, but we're a victor of our own lives. True freedom is discipline in taking and making the choices, however beautiful, however difficult they may be, but making them for ourselves. Even if we fall, even when, I should say, we fall and stumble along the way. It's actually the stumbles and the falls that make for excellent stories and make for greater strides moving forward. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Be blessed and be a blessing. And remember, you have everything that you need right this second to produce joy and abundance and flourishing in your life. We just